Hello and welcome everybody. I hope I am live on YouTube. Give me 1 second to check that I am. I have to just make sure that we're streaming properly. Just give me 1 second. There we go. Yes, okay, we are live. Hello, welcome back everybody. This, as the title already says, this will be a forensic analysis of the Trump assassination. Today, I am just by myself. The truth is that Bill Binney has been tortured for the last 48 hours with the non-consensual body implants in his body. Currently, the situation is that either he or I are being debilitated to stop us from working on the things we want to work on, and which is mostly to help fight corruption and shut down the deep state. So the Trump assassination hopefully brings it home to people that the struggle against the deep state is real. And one of the good sides or the good things to come out of this is, I think, overall awareness of how serious the situation is. So when the deep state is ready to murder yet another US president live on camera, they have done this before, then you know that, amateur hour is officially over and the game is on. So this has been happening to us for a very long time. In fact, we are welcoming President Trump in the club of those who survived assassination attempts by the intelligence agencies. Bill Binney has already, I think his first assassination attempt was, or the first against him was in '98. That was a supposed Russian taxi driver who T-boned him at stupendously high speed in the 25-mile zone where he, the community where he used to live at the time, flipping the car and spinning it several times around its axis with his wife in it. So that was what we reconstructed, what must have been the first assassination attempt, timed perfectly to try to stop him from working on the things that, then became the famous thin thread that Edward Snowden blew the whistle on and so on. But anyway, so I myself survived my first assassination attempt 3 days after starting litigation against MI6 in the High Court. I received a death threat on the way to the High Court in 2016, and they acted upon it in pretty much exactly the way they said they would. I just only figured out afterwards what they meant. 3 days later in Switzerland on the motorway. So yeah, back then I was nearly taken out with directed energy weapon shots to the forehead, which as they deployed the weapon, you can run directed energy weapons in a manner of ways, but it felt like blows with a hammer to the forehead as I was driving through a tunnel on the Swiss motorway. So yeah, it was quite exciting. And that was my introduction to the happy world of intelligence agencies and their murder attempts on those who try to fight corruption. Now, one of the things I can tell you is that if you think that you have to be high profile like President Trump for the intelligence agencies to come after you and try to murder you, that is not the case. This intelligence behemoth, this cancer of intelligence agencies and secret services and secret societies like the Masons has grown to such a size that even if you just speak up about maybe your local community, or maybe you disagree with your school giving your kids the right to change genders without telling you, even then they can come after you and try to kill you. So the manpower has become so vast, and the trigger threshold for an assassination attempt has become so low that you don't actually have to be a president of the United States anymore, that people will try to kill you. In fact, assassination attempts are proliferating anywhere in Europe and in the US, in the dinkiest, smallest little picturesque towns and in cities and absolutely everywhere. So on this note, right, we have to get to work. And I am going to go into the details. So what my video is meant to be about, not just welcoming Trump into the sad club of those who, were nearly killed, but also I would like to run some forensic analysis on the assassination attempt, or the first live raw footage we have from the assassination attempt, to try to prove to you that there's conclusive evidence that, number one, there was more than one shooter, and by the sound of it, more than one shooter that caused harm as well. The second shooter didn't just fire randomly into the surroundings. And second of all, 2 people have been identified in the main stage. So the what you call it, the you know, I forget the name, the stand behind Trump, the attendee stand, the viewer stand behind Trump. Actually, sorry, forgive me. One is in the main stand, one is in the left-hand side as you're looking onto the stage. One lady is on the left-hand side where somebody was shot. There's one lady in there that those 2 women actually are quite clearly identifiable as having insider knowledge. They knew that the shots were going to happen. One of them was very keen on getting to film as quickly as possible and seemed to indicate that she, you know, nodded in saying, okay, ready to go. The other one actually ducked before everybody else. Kind of bad move, right? But anyway, so there's already, you know, it's quite funny. It's funny when you hear the FBI appealing for evidence and then you see evidence that it was the intelligence agencies, as in, you know, the FBI and CIA who actually pulled it off. So, you know, all this is nonsense. Also, when you look at the official narrative that's coming out, it is just so much hokum. It's not funny. It is really egregious bullshit left, right, and center. And people on social media, private investigators, private citizens who have 2 brain cells to rub together have been doing an excellent job debunking a lot of the official narrative. Now, my video, I will go a bit into that, but I don't really want to repeat stuff that is already out there. I would like to focus on the things that I don't think are really known. So number one, I want to do an audio analysis of the shots that clearly show that there were 2 separate weapons involved firing shots and 2 separate weapons causing harm. And then secondly, I want to talk to you about the 2 women who can be identified in the crowd and can be seen on film to display behavior that shows that they had inside knowledge. One of them was identified by me after hours of searching for that. The other one was identified, well, I came across it when the CEO of Twitter tweeted out, I'm not sure if he was filming it. It looked like he was filming his own TV screen at home. And he pointed out a lady behind Trump who was quite clearly on a news broadcast from Fox News had insider knowledge. So the second lady, I didn't find her. I didn't see that footage, but the other one I found after hours of going through footage, every bit of footage I could find online, because this was on the 13th when Bill and I sat down for dinner. And we just, you know, flicked open a laptop to say, hey, while we're eating dinner, let's just check up on the news. And there we heard that half an hour earlier, Trump had been shot at. So from that moment onwards, I have been trying to find out what has happened, trying to find leads and so on. And I was, I think, up until 7 a.m. Throughout the night, trying to really get a grip on what was going on and specifically looking. I was specifically looking for evidence that the intel agencies were involved, and eventually I found it. So I did the sound analysis in the first half an hour, and then I spent hours trying to find somebody somewhere who looked a bit dodgy while looking for anything else. So there we go. It took me a long time, and I found that piece of evidence because I was looking for it. And I will also explain to you how I knew to look for it. There was a precedence from the drone bombing in Caracas in Venezuela when President Maduro was giving a speech. A drone exploded midair, and from looking at the footage of the main stand and the people around Maduro, I put out a video showing that there was one guy in a suit, was not, you know, in decorated military uniform, and a guy in uniform next to him, who both seem to have insider knowledge and a head knowledge of that explosion happening. Right, 2 guys right behind Maduro were in on it, especially the guy in a suit who seemed to be an intel guy. So, you know, if you look at footage, eventually you can always get back to the laws of physics, right, and mathematics, and second of all, so the laws of science, and second of all, human behavior. So if you just keep looking, people will eventually betray themselves. Liars will betray themselves, and people who have to take part in these staged events as crisis actors or people with insider knowledge, eventually they will betray themselves if you just keep looking. So this is what we're after. So I'm already jumping ahead here. I'm already giving you spoiler alerts here. The intel agencies did it, which if you know anything about the false flag operations that have been happening in North America and Europe for the last couple of decades is no surprise. And if you just read what my YouTube channel is about, which is Secret Service criminality, it's also not a surprise. So let's get right into it. And before I do so, let me do two things, administrative housekeeping stuff. Number one, let me check that you guys can actually hear me, like I can hear myself here. Let's see. Yeah, that seems good. Okay, second bookkeeping or housekeeping thing is that I would like to draw your attention to the fact that Bill and I have left Twitter. We have now moved to TruthSocial. We have actually wanted to move to TruthSocial for a very, very long time, pretty much ever since I came to the US here. We've kind of, it got delayed because our day-to-day is really dealing with torture and trying to stay alive. We had housebreaking, a puppy that we were taking care of got poisoned in our backyard. We have car sabotage, people come after us in the street. We have drone gunning and directed energy weapon attacks in our house 24/7. And both Bill and I have found out that we're covertly and non-consensually implanted with microchips, which you can scientifically measure and prove with bug detectors and spectrum analyzers and so on. And we are being tortured by remote control. So it's a lot to take in. If you're new to the channel, if you've been to my channel, you already know it's an old hat. We know about this and so on. But anyway, so the truth is, Bill and I have been struggling, especially since I came to the US specifically to work with Bill Binney in trying to help targeted individuals and trying to put together court cases and trying to, bring these crimes to justice. But it has been very, very rough. But what I would like to show you is that the Trump assassination attempt has really expedited, the things we wanted to do. And it also made us realize that things are very urgent. They have become very urgent. They are trying to kill Bill and May on a daily basis, but when they are going openly after Trump, it's like you see the gloves are off on a scale that has been unimaginable even just last week. Okay, so what you see on the screen now is my first ever TruthSocial post. I want you to know that you can follow me from today onwards on TruthSocial. My moniker is @stop007 and Bill's is @Bill Binney, right? And here's the very first message, which you can read on my TruthSocial. It really is about the fact that, as I've wrote here, Bill and I are reporting for duty. What that means concretely is that we stand by President Trump. We will fight the deep state. Bill and I get what he's about and what he's trying to achieve. And we also wholeheartedly believe that he's genuine in his wish to stop the criminality in the United States. And as he says, make America great again. That is very much what Bill and I want to do. I also, it's very close to my heart to make Europe great again, because based on my research, the transnational criminal organization that is destroying the United States is the very same structure that has destroyed Europe. So we really will do everything we can to support Donald Trump and his attempt to drain the swamp. That's basically our message. But anyway, for you guys, you now know you can follow me on TruthSocial, and you can follow Bill on TruthSocial as well. So now, why did we move away from Twitter? Well, first of all, the very first thing is that I do not believe a stinking word of what they are making Elon Musk out to be. As a scientist, as a former particle physicist, I know just how much science and research and work and time-consuming work goes into trying to be excellent in one field. So I could believe that Elon Musk is, let's say, excellent in developing electric cars, but I do not believe for a second that you can have the time in your life to be a driver of electric car development and also rockets. Let's not forget neural lace, right? A brain-computer interface that's injectable. And now the third thing is, right, the third topic also shows you that he's involved in some real nefarious shit. So the whole stuff about brain-computer interfaces is really the enslavement of humanity. They always sell it to you positively, like, hey, you will become so much smarter and so much faster, and you will have access to all this information directly in your brainstem. But hey, some people already run around with a body area network, like myself, and I have seen many people, and these things don't make people smarter. If they did, my gang stalkers would be brilliant, but they're not. So Elon Musk's, in my work, his analysis works on some real nefarious shit. I really believe he's part of the cartel. And I also think that he's a front for the military-industrial complex. Rockets are really the business of NASA, right? And the military. Electric cars will be fantastic to kill people. I know cars already kill people, but it's usually by your own fault or somebody else's fault, who didn't intend to. Electric cars will enable strategic killing on a scale that's unimaginable for most people. It really is. You know how when personal computers came in, suddenly hacking became a real issue and ID theft became a real issue that people didn't have before. Well, the same thing will happen with these self-driving cars and electric cars that can be accelerated to stupid, speeds and so on. So in my view, Elon Musk is a front organization for the military-industrial complex, as much as the Google boys who first, developed Google were a front organization for the NSA developing the search technology over 30 years. I spoke with Bill about this whole thing, and he can tell you himself, but, he very much explained to me that the stuff that Google used was stuff that he worked and developed. And when he finally deployed his stuff shortly after, the CIA and NSA, founded Google. So anyway, these are the reasons. And to top it all off, Twitter, which was such an amazing name to just tweet like birds, or, sing it from the rooftops like birds, and, tweet it from the rooftops like birds. It was such a wonderful name for company. It even became a verb that's still around, to tweet, now you change it into X, it's idiotic. Why rename it? Why rename the perfect brand? Why throw it away and go from happy, inviting blue to shitty, death-like X? And add to that Madonna videos where, this cult-like situations with people wearing eye patches with X's on. And in cartel signaling, it kind of explained to me that X stands for extermination. So X, really? It's crap. Why would you ever go from Twitter to X unless you want to do cartel signaling or please the cartel and make Twitter really black and dark and, a horrific place where people think they can speak their mind at last. But hey, what are the consequences? I don't know. I don't like it. I have a very bad, gut feeling, and I don't like it. And also, I am suspended from Twitter since Twitter was Twitter, and X has me suspended just as much as Twitter has. So fuck them. I'm gone. I'm going to TruthSocial. Why? Because the truth is important, and being social is also important. I love it. I love the brand, and I also really love what Donald Trump stands for. So Bill and I were like, right, that's it. It's an easy decision to make. We are joining Trump, and we're going that way. And X and extermination can go that way with the military-industrial complex as much as we care. So that's just why we went away from this, very popular platform. The other housekeeping thing I would like to inform you about is that if you're looking for some of my old videos, they are being deleted. Somebody in YouTube is browsing my videos that are many years old and have been on YouTube for many, many years, and suddenly finds them offensive. And now I have been informed by YouTube that they consider my YouTube channel to promote harmful, or to contain, or to have harmful content. Harmful to whom, I ask? Harmful to the victims I'm supporting, right? Harmful to the causes of justice and integrity I'm fighting for, or harmful to the global crime cartel that owns YouTube? So you make up your own mind. But the fact is that many of my YouTube videos keep being deleted. Also, there's a retaliatory a time correlation in when my videos get deleted. I try to work on fighting crimes, and boom, a couple more of my videos are gone. So just this much about bookkeeping. Not sure how long I will be on YouTube, but we are now Bill and I are orienting ourselves entirely towards what hopefully will be the new US administration under Trump, if he doesn't get assassinated and the vote doesn't get reassigned, you know, like it might have happened in the past. And we might have all watched it happening live. And we really think that right now, that's the only hope we have in even trying to tidy up this corruption. If we succeed is another matter, but that's our only hope. So, you know, against this background, I can't tell you just how I felt when I saw the video on Saturday, the video footage of Trump surviving by less than a split second. It was incredible because as I will show you in the footage that I will go through, it very much sounds like the shot that grazed his ear and 2 shots following and a couple of others came from a supersonic shot. So the bullet hits you before you hear the gunshot. And yet, so the gunman had, whichever gunman, because there's more than one, but the gunman that was sufficiently far away that you could actually tell apart the bullet and the gunshot as 2 separate things. That guy who was sufficiently far away must have had Trump perfectly in the crosshairs when he pulled the trigger, otherwise he wouldn't have pulled the trigger. So Trump went from being perfectly in the crosshairs, you know, on track to be flat dead in less than a second later, to then turning his head perfectly and really perfectly in less than half a second, that the bullet was supersonically faster than the speed of sound, traveling, leaving the gun and traveling over to him. By the time it reached him, he already had perfectly turned. So if you think through how slowly human beings move and what a perfectly aligned coincidence that is, I mean, I'm an atheist and I've never really believed in divine intervention, but if I had an ounce of, religious sentiment in me, I think this is the closest I would come to believing that there's a God, because fuck me, what coincidence. Okay, now I'm an atheist. I still don't believe in God, but it was a heck of a coincidence, right? But the bottom line is, divine intervention or not, had he not turned his head faster than a supersonic bullet can travel, he would be dead. And we would have gone to bed Saturday night with the prospect of no hope of Trump getting reelected and no hope of ever starting a fight against the deep state. And that, I think, was very much the plan. So, freaking incredible, right? I have to say, I was just stunned, and I threw myself into work trying to analyze what has happened and trying to find evidence, just because that was my way of coping with the gravity of the realization of what just happened, or what just almost just happened. It is just incredible. Now, enough random dry talking from me. Let's get into the footage, guys, because there's a heck of a lot I want to get through. Also, let me share my screen and bring you up to date with some developments you might want to hear about. Earlier today, let me switch to the second tab. Earlier today, I did an interview with Professor James Fetzer, Jim Fetzer here. This is his BitChute channel. Now, his channel, I'm going to just read it out in case you want to look it up, is RBTROP3R, capital RIZI. Okay, now I'm telling you this because sometimes searching for his channel, even on BitChute itself, doesn't turn up anything. So it gets a bit covered. And he works on analyzing false flag operations. He works on analyzing Secret Service criminality, and he got banned from YouTube. The books he has written with evidence on false flag operations have been banned from Amazon, the modern version of book burning. So he has founded his own publishing company, Moonrock Books, and has self-published his own books with other experts. But this is his BitChute channel. And today's interview was the raw deal. This is this one here with John Carman, former US Secret Service, Brian Davidson, Jim Fetzer, and myself. This is this link, and this is the preview of the video of us four being together. This is Professor Fetzer, John Carman, and Brian Davidson. I thought it was a very good discussion, and I am going to repeat a couple of things that I said there because that's really my conclusion from the work that I've done over the weekend. So if you are watching this video after watching the video here on YouTube, forgive me that you will hear some of the things twice, but just know that if you hear it twice, you might just remember it better. You might actually listen one of the 2 times you hear it. So yes, this is the video. Now, the other thing I wanted to say, which I also say here on the raw deal, is it's actually quite stunning, but I'm going to say it again because it's really extraordinary. I noticed that when I saw the mugshot of Trump, the mugshot back then, the New York mugshot of the never surrender, and I saw Trump's facial expression, the first thing I thought is, hang on, I've seen that before. I had like an instantaneous feeling of deja vu. And I'm like, hang on, there's another very important picture, almost identical to it, that looks just like that. And then I figured out that the image I was thinking of was this one, Churchill, never, never give up, right? And if you look at how Churchill is looking and how Trump is looking, this look of focused determination, like, right, that's it. The war is on and we have to fight and win. And the 2 men look identical in these photographs because they are pretty much faced not just with the same sort of war, but even with the same war actors. If you follow my channel, you understand what I mean. But the people who organized and funded the Second World War and Hitler and the whole shenanigans around the Nazis and so on, which, by the way, was also supported from the US financially and also with Ford trucks. You know, it's this, we're dealing with the same network. It's the same struggle. It's 2 leaders who have to face up to this kind of this vast war and there's this incredibly difficult war and these vast armies against them. And that's where the look comes from. So that's number 1. Number 2, this is yesterday's very iconic shot after Trump stood back up and raised his fist and showed the crowd that he was okay. It was one of the most cathartic and most empowering moments I have really seen in you know, ever since I was alive. It was just like, that's it. Everybody felt like whatever they do, we will win. We are all together. We will succeed. And I cannot tell you how important it was that actually Trump went against everything, all the common sense he has, all the advice of the Secret Service, also the best intention of his, you know, man here on the left. He was probably thinking, what the fuck? We need to get into the car. Like, now, I really should have grabbed Trump and dragged him off the stage, like should be protocol. But he just went against everybody's, you know, best intentions and just took a moment to communicate with the crowd. And I don't think that was, people said, oh yes, Trump is such a good feel for politics. This wasn't a feel for politics. This was a feel for humanity. He knew that the people around him cared. And he really wanted to say, it's okay, I'm okay, but fight, 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 right? Fantastic. That sent energy shockwaves through the whole world. People saw this all over the globe and they're like, right, that's it. Yes, we must fight, fight, fight. And it is quite something when you see a man who is, I think, 78 years old, and a 78-year-old man was just shot and he stood up and he said, you have to fight, fight, fight. So if you're still sitting on your ass when a 78-year-old man can dodge a bullet, right, and can react faster than the whole Secret Service and then ask you to fight, if you're still sitting on your ass, there's something wrong with you. So we all will get up. And when I saw that, I said to Bill, right, that's it. That's what we do. I'll get to work. I get to the bottom of it tonight, or I'll not go to bed until I have found what the intelligence agencies actually did. So yeah, that's what we're trying to do. And there it is. But also, when I saw this image the next day all across the press, I thought, hang on, I've seen this. I have seen this image before. I have seen it so many times, right? It instantly, again, you have this wave of deja vu, just like with Trump's mugshot. And then I realized, of course, it is this image here from the French Revolution. Look at it. Somebody got shot, still alive, carrying the flag, right? People protect him around him, right? Heavily armed. Everybody is protecting him. The flag is there. The blood is there. And the fight continues, right? And there's a crowd saying, yes, we will follow you into the battle. So this is the French Revolution. And this really is the real American Revolution, because I can tell you the last one was fake. The War of Independence was funded by the Rothschilds on both sides, as they do. I'm sure they will try to fund Trump's side as well. I think there's indication they already are trying to do it, but doesn't matter, right? We will use the money, or Trump will use the money, humanity will use the money, and we will make the world a better place. Now, thinking about the French Revolution, people might not know, but that too wasn't quite what it said on the package, because it was done, actually pulled off by the Freemasons. There's evidence of that plastered all over. So the best way to think about the French Revolution is the Freemasons and the Vatican crime cartel behind them wanted to asset strip the French king and put their dirty mittens on all his wealth and power. And that's what they did. So but in the process, the people got a lot of concepts that would have been unimaginable before, and against the best intentions of the global crime cartel, the world became somewhat of a better place. And, or at least, you know, the rail tracks, or the direction of that the rail tracks will be built was set to a slightly more positive direction. So sometimes you can have the worst criminal crime cartel in the world, like the Freemasons and the Vatican crime cartel behind them, pull off some bullshit and do their order out of chaos, and the world still wins. And if we get things right, even if they fund both sides, we can still make the world a better place. So that's where we are. And I show you one more time. Here we are today. And that's a deja vu for this. Very much a deja vu. So we are right here now today. And again, we are really fighting the same cartel, you know, but hopefully this time around we'll have more awareness about who the people are who will want to pay both sides, who would want to pay the rhinos and the Democrats, and who would want to subvert our best intentions. We have more information on this criminal crime cartel than we have ever before. And spoiler alert, the intelligence agencies, secret services, and secret societies are right at the heart of it. So, okay, now this is what I wanted to show you. And now let's get into it. The very first thing that I always do when I'm analyzing these false flag operations is I am looking for some sort of cartel signaling. Now, for those of you who are new to this channel and you walk into this, you probably had already several what the fuck moments. What the fuck are directed energy weapons? Why does Katherine claim she has body chip implants and her husband has also some, and they are both being tortured? And, you know, what the hell is cartel signaling, and what the hell is she going on and about? So don't worry, you'll settle into this. This topic is not going to go away. I have been talking about the same stuff since I went live online on 2016, December 2016. Since then, I've been saying pretty much the same stuff with ever more detail and ever more research. And I have been proven right all throughout this time. More and more people who were critical came on board, found out that they too are implanted, like my husband, Bill Binney, retired technical director of NSA. Other people as well, people in public life, have found out that they are implanted. Other people discovered that they are being attacked by these modern stealth weapons called directed energy weapons. And more people, including my own husband, have realized that, yes, cartels, what I call cartel signaling, is real. What is cartel signaling? It is the communication method that this transnational criminal organization of secret services and secret societies uses to communicate with their members in a way that is so overt, it's covert. In other words, they use symbols, sometimes colors, sometimes animals, references, double meanings, to communicate content and a message to their members that is right out there in our face, plastered everywhere, but we don't recognize it. Sometimes we don't recognize it because we don't know the symbols, and sometimes people don't recognize it, even if I tell them the symbols and their meaning, because they can't believe it can be that bleeding obvious. Okay. Now, what I say to those people is, remember, this big global crime cartel we're dealing with, it has organically grown, has grown over centuries, and most of their members and employees throughout centuries were criminals. Things like pickpockets, hookers, okay, burglars, thugs, heavies who beat people up and killed people. Now, not necessarily the, brainiacs and intellectual part of society. So if you want to communicate with them and you can't send corporate memos to all of them, or in modern days, you don't want to send, actual messages to them because the NSA would capture and record them and you might be unmasked, you have to put your messages openly, right in plain sight. You have to teach them the symbols and how to read all that. But it has to be simple because you're dealing with pickpockets and hookers, all right? With a bunch of slappers and a bunch of criminal little thugs. So it has to be understandable, memorizable, right? At the lowest level, the lowest common denominator. So if you are an intellectual person, if you're an academic and you're used to doing research in science, or like my husband, breaking military encryptions and codes, right? And ciphers. Well, you might be overthinking things a bit. Anything at that level can only be cracked and read and understood by very few people, taken across the whole of humanity. If you want to communicate with a vast network that has to grow as big as it can, right, to take over humanity, you have to keep it very simple. So if it's too intellectual, you're pitching it at a very small number of people. So now everybody who's very intelligent and highly intellectual has to go and dive down into the into the sewer and learn how to read simple stuff, right? So when I came to the US, I was teaching Bill Binney everything I knew. And I said, look, I think they have this code, they have this language. He's a code breaker. So I said, Bill, it shouldn't be too hard for you to break this. Look, and it kept tripping him up because it was just so freaking dumb. And I said, don't overthink it. Don't be too clever by half. You have to think simply. It has to be resilient against stupidity. These messages have to be simple. So this is just by way of introduction that, cartel signaling is the messaging of the cartel to its members. It is very real. Once you know the symbols, even the simplest people can understand it. In fact, next time I will show you an example from the so-called YSL Young Thug Trial in Fulton County, Georgia, where a rapper called Young Thug is on trial, and a lot of corrupt bullshit has been going down in that court case. It was phenomenal. It's like a movie. But there's also an interview with one of the witnesses by one of the lawyers, and the two of them are actually talking about cartel signaling and the meaning of green hearts. And the witness flips out about green hearts when the lawyer, very young lawyer, says to the people in the chat, just send some green hearts for this guy here that I'm talking to. And the guy was basically, he's from the hood, okay? So he's what you might call, one of these street gang members. He's like, no, don't give me that stuff. You know what they're like? Don't give me green hearts. Give me like white hearts. And then she's like, okay, how about red hearts, But he flips out and he's like, what the fuck are you doing? Sending these green hearts my way, right? You shouldn't do that. He's dead serious. Why the hell would he be like that? Okay, it's just a bunch of emojis in a live chat. Who gives a shit? But he understands the language of this cartel. In fact, the lawyer understands the meaning of that the cartel signaling. and the meaning behind it. So it's very clear, and I'll show you this thing next time. It has nothing to do with Trump and the assassination, but I want you to know that if once you know this language, it is everywhere. It is everywhere. A green heart, for example, was plastered all over the so-called Grenfell Fire in, what's it called? Yeah, I think the Grenfell Fire. A big tower in London burned down very suspiciously. And afterwards, there was a big canvas with a green heart on top of it. Anyway, so I will get into it next time. But cartel signaling is real. It is the message, the coded messages with which the secret services and the secret societies communicate with their members, and those members who are out there and are not involved, and they say, ha, we did it, aren't we amazing? And sometimes they say, we did it for this reason. And sometimes they say, we're going to do this, so watch out. Or, sometimes they say, don't crap yourself over this. This is all fake. These are the sort of messages you would have to communicate to your members. Now, the Trump assassination, I was already looking for some of this cartel signaling because it's always there. It has to be there, because if there's a big, cataclysmic event like that, all the cartel members, from the lowest street thugs and the little whores and absolutely everybody who knows about the cartel, all the way up to senior Masons and, people in the intel agencies who work for the intel agencies without being fully read into everything, they think, holy shit, what just happened, right? Is it us or is it them? Or is it somebody else we don't know about? So what the cartel usually does is they say, don't worry, kids, this was us. It's all under control. We are the most powerful, big organized crime cartel out there. That's why you're a member, because you want to align with the strong people. Don't crap yourself. It's all under control. We've got this, and ha, 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 aren't we great? Typically, that's what it is, right? So with this background story, so that you don't think I'm completely batshit crazy, as I'm going to show you the next thing, with the Trump assassination, I was specifically looking for cartel signaling that ties whatever happened to MI6 and the British Crown in whatever way. Why? Because US intelligence, which is who I think pulled this bullshit off, is part of the Five Eyes. The so-called Five Eyes Alliance is an alliance of intelligence agencies comprising the intelligence agencies of the US and Canada, right, North America, of the UK, that's the third member and key member, and then of Australia and New Zealand, these five: US, Canada, UK, Australia, New Zealand. Now, you will notice something, which is the odd one out. It's the US. Because the UK and Canada is a crown colony of the UK. So is Australia, and so is New Zealand. So UK, Canada, Australia, and New Zealand, they are one block. And the US supposedly has been fighting, right, not to be part of the British Crown. So why would you ever want to fuse your intelligence agencies? If they are your intelligence agencies, they are the most powerful thing you have. If they are not quite your intelligence agencies, it's the most dangerous thing you have. Why would you possibly want to fuse it with the British Crown, right? You wouldn't want to, unless the US is also a crown colony. And then it makes perfect sense. There's the UK and its 4 crown colonies, and the intelligence agencies all work together because they're part of the same corporate structure. All right, so because the US intelligence agencies are part of the Five Eyes, because of this logic, I can tell you that MI6 calls the shots, MI6 being the British Foreign Intelligence Agency. They pride themselves of being able to pull off any bullshit they want anywhere in the world. So they're actually bigger than just these countries, but that's the backbone. That's the axis of evil in the world, if you like. Now, when something like this happens, and a former US president, who by the looks of it is about to become the next US president, is almost assassinated, it's the slave masters who would want to assassinate him, okay? Who else? It's not just, it is not the people who run around with blue hair and are wondering if they, are boy or girl, right? They're not the people who just opened the US border and are flooding the whole country with whoever. right? Just by themselves. There's a bigger plan here. Why the hell would all these things be happening unless somebody outside the US is trying to weaken the US, is trying to maybe build up an army inside the US? Okay, so with this big background, and I have years and years more research into this to back up this hypothesis, I was thinking, as soon as I heard it, okay, the Crown Corporation, or the British Crown as you know it, the British Crown was trying to take out Trump because he was not sticking to the plan. The US slave colony, if you like, is pulling away from the pack, is trying to go its own way. How rude to your slave masters. So when the US is trying to pull away and Trump becomes his own man, which is very bad indeed, as far as old money and old Europe is concerned, when that happens, the last resort they have is to try to take him out. So when somebody just tries to take Trump out at the perfect, perfect point just before the Republican National Committee, right, and before the election, chances are it was the British Crown or the Crown Corporation. It's bigger than just the Britain overall, but the British Crown is a good first start. So MI6 was probably behind it, 100%. Now, when MI6 is behind it, they will let their own minion members know immediately. So when they let their members know, it has to be something simple, something that people know about British intelligence, MI6, like every kid knows something that every idiot and every kid would know. What would that be? Oh, James Bond, 007, right? James Bond 007. Everybody on planet Earth, I think, has seen these movies, maybe apart from the people who live in the jungles of Borneo, right? But even they have online porn these days, apparently. So everybody has seen this movie. So we're looking, I was thinking, hey, any references to the UK, to Scotland? MI6 was James Bond was Scottish. Any odd references to Scotland, James Bond, anything like that? I'm looking for that. And sure enough, I found it very early on day one. I think it was the third or fourth YouTube video that I watched, and I want to show you this one. Actually, let me share my screen. So this was a CNN report about, and today I'm taking my sweet old time, I know that, but I'm trying to bring on board all the people who are maybe new to my channel. So this is the CNN video. Let's see if that's, oh, sorry. Let me do the share again, this time with sound. And it's about the shooter. And you will see something very odd. They are talking about District Attorney Richard Goldinger, DA Goldinger. Well, if you say it fast, it sounds like Goldfinger, like reference to a James Bond movie. And what is really funny is that CNN's own subtext, if you can see the buttons here, this is not the closed captions from YouTube. This is CNN's own subtext, own subtitle actually reads Richard Goldfinger. Now, what does she say? She says Goldinger, right? But I want you to see this, Richard Goldfinger, right there, right there. CNN put it on. They are journalists. They really make sure they get the names right. And yet, strategically, they fucked this one up. How cute. So listen to what she says.
Till we get the actual confirmation of what kind of shooter this was. But the Butler District Attorney, Richard Goldinger, is confirming that one spectator is dead, a second spectator is in serious condition, and the shooter is dead. I asked him, how did this person...
Okay, so I tried to pause this out. This word. Hang on a second. So there we've got it. So CNN themselves, right, make a reference to Goldfinger. And as I said, so much effort goes into trying to, make sure that names are right and so on, right? So these sort of mistakes don't come about just by themselves, right? So that's number one. Now, you might think, yeah, but really it was just a typo and, but you have no idea how many people read this sort of stuff, right? So a typo, a genuine typo might be, oh, instead of a D, you put in an S, or instead of a, you know, but you don't just put in a D and an F and it reads like a movie title, right? So that just doesn't really happen. Now, the Fox News version, the guy himself read D.A. Goldinger and tripped himself. So I'm going to show you the Fox News version of this, right? And in Fox News, the guy himself, the reference was so close that he actually spelled out Goldinger, because he knew if he just says Goldinger, the whole world will hear Goldfinger, right? That's just how people work. So just briefly as a reference, I'm going to go through this painstakingly today, but it's very important. And in the meantime, while you're waiting for me to set up, just meditate on this. If you actually think this is credible, just an innocent typo. This is not the only evidence I base it on. And this was not the first thing. It was just one of those footnotes that flashed up as I was trying to figure out what the heck just happened to Trump, right? The real forensic analysis I want to get into is based on the laws of frickin' physics, and it's undeniable that there was a second shooter and that people in the crowd had foreknowledge, right? But just as a note, as we're going ramping up to the serious shit, you need to pay attention to these things, because you think it's bullshit, but the dumb people in the cartel don't. All right. And at the end of the day, it doesn't matter what we think. The only thing that matters is what they think and how they operate. Right. This is not how Katherine Horton would set up the world if she were running her own crime cartel. Right. I would be more selective than this, I can tell you. But if you're trying to onboard everybody, even remotely, how to put it, favorable to crime or shady shenanigans, you have to be very open, broad, and forgiving, and very simple. Okay, so very simple references. And as I said, once you just make this hypothesis, what if there's this coded language, and you start looking for it, it always comes back to a very, limited subset. Usually it's references to the Masons, and I believe here there might be one as well. References to the Masons are, for example, the Masonic compass, like the hand sign, like that. When you sometimes hear people say, oh, peace, it doesn't mean peace. This is the Masonic compass. Okay, so in the olden days, when people flashed that sign in photographs, they were actually saying, hey, we're part of the Masons. And then it became so mainstream as people were starting to do this online. People ask questions. And I think somebody came up with this cover story of, yeah, it means peace. Really? Did it mean peace when photographs from the early 20th century were taken in black and white? Oh, yes. Does it mean the same thing when you have skull and bones assembling themselves in a V shape when they take their little, group pictures? So, it has more meaning. Then the other thing is Masonic tiling, black and white checkered patterns appear or else. And another one is the all-seeing eye, when Hollywood actors cover one eye and photograph themselves in publicity images. So already with these Masonic tiling, black and white checkered patterns, the Masonic compass, right? Or this symbol, right? And the all-seeing eye. With that, you will get actually very far in debunking false flag operations, because these three symbols are plastered absolutely everywhere. Another one is the double pillars of Freemasonry with the big round bubble on top, the big globe on top, two towers with a globe each. That's a Masonic symbol. You will see that, many places, and so on and so on. So anyway, I just want to get into this, and now listen to Fox News, how Fox News is really bending over backwards to make sure they do not say Goldfinger. Right here, listen.
There's a lot of information out there from the Butler County, Pennsylvania DA, and he apparently his name is Goldinger, Goldinger, and apparently he's
yes. So you literally heard the Fox News reporter trip up. He was like, his name is shit, what? He has this moment of, hang on a moment, let me just spell this. Okay, so it's the two are so close. Now, how the hell could this coincidence come about? Well, I can tell you that the cartel is promoting people. The cartel picks who becomes a DA, right? And I had many times in the past had the feeling that people get sometimes put in places just because of their name. Sometimes lower level people who are just agents sometimes get a cover name, which will be cartel signaling. It's a given name. But, you know, sometimes the DA might have gotten this position only because he has that name, quite frankly, you know, and because these plans are in the making for a very, very long time, right? It's very obvious that Trump will have a rally in Pennsylvania again, like he did, you know, 4 years prior. And there you are, you know, you just put people in place and then you run with it, you know, or you take people who already have those names and then you run with it. The question I had is, why is the DA one of the first people to talk about this? The DA, maybe the governor, maybe the lieutenant governor could speak up and, you know, say a couple of words, given that the shit went down in his state. But no, instead it's the DA. Like, really? Not an obvious choice when you think about it. So, but now let's get into the actual, you know, topic of this, because so far it was just for me a personal footnote of, okay, here we have the MI6 reference. So some bullshit is going to go down. Now let's look at the actual sound profiles. Okay. Now this is, we're now going into finally into the actual bread and butter of this. So hang on, give me 1 second. I have to set up the share in a way that you have it on full screen. What I would like to do is I would like to go through the actual, the actual video of the Trump shooting. I'm using the ABC News video that's 2 minutes and 11 seconds long. It was published on the 14th of July, but you find the exact same thing pretty much everywhere. You find it in earlier recordings of this. So I don't think this video recording has been altered or doctored. And on the 13th, when Bill and I sat down to have dinner and we watched the first thing, I just listened to the video, and as Bill can confirm next time, I immediately said, hang on a second, something is wrong about the audio. Like, something just doesn't make sense here. And it took me forever to figure out what was what and what am I really hearing, because, you know, disclosure here, I'm a European. I never had a gun. I never handled a gun. I was never near a gun being fired. But I'm a physicist and I just can figure shit out. So I just had my physics concept of what I expect a gun to sound like. And then I had to really sit down, listen to gunshots, figure out what's what, and find out what I was looking for and why it sounded so odd. But the very first thing that I noticed in this whole thing is that the gunshots you hear don't all sound the same. There's some odd discrepancies here. So the actual original sound profile, as it was recorded by the microphone on Trump's stand. So, you know, the shots don't all sound the same, and yet they claim there was just one gunman. It doesn't make any sense. But then to actually go from a instinctive or like the initial gut feeling to actual proof took me quite some time. So I'm now using the evidence that I use to get to my conclusions, and I would like to share it with you, especially because some of my viewers are European and might also not have fired a gun and might not be like the Americans, right? To give you an example, the difference between Europeans and Americans. There was one interview with one guy, right? Young chap. And he said he was in the stand near the guy where the guy got shot, okay? And he heard the shot, or the shots, and ducked and went down. And then on the floor, he saw that there's a policewoman right next to him. He was right towards the front. And he said, I saw her and I said to her, was that a 22? Right? If you're European and you just ducked because you had gunfire, your first question would be, was that a gun? But if you're American, your question is, was that a 22? So bless his heart. I love him. Yeah, that's the Americans for you. So for the Europeans who might hear gunfire for the first time and have to analyze it, this is what you need to know to get somewhere. So let me share my screen. This is what happened, right? Here we get into it. So we have Trump standing up at the podium. Now the first shot will be heard, I think, somewhere around 8 seconds. Okay, and I'm going to play this. There's 3 parts to this. There is a short audio clip that I'm going to play, and I think I have to truncate it because otherwise YouTube is going to be, you know, breathing down my neck. But I would like to play the first 3 shots, which I believe came from the same rifle firing supersonic bullets. Then there's a volley of shots of about 5 shots, right? Where the timing and sound profiles that are in there make me feel like there's different guns involved. The original shooter might be involved, but also others. And then 8 seconds pass or so, and then at 23 seconds, there's a single shot being heard that sounds like nothing like the first 3 shots. So the very first shot is the one that grazes Trump's ear. Okay, so here it is at normal speed. Let me just jump ahead a bit. Okay, so preparing now. And what you will see is that Trump is talking and he is looking to his right because there's a screen. There's the big podium behind, or the big viewer, whatever, stage behind him. And there are 2 separate wings, detached wings, also with people. And behind the one on his right is a ginormous screen where they show, almost like a PowerPoint presentation, they show a slide with the immigration numbers, I believe. And he will turn his head to look at the slide, and it's that turn of his head that saves his life. It is incredible. And here we go at normal speed. Oh, shit. Have I shared my sound? Hang on. You need to hear the bullets. You need to give me one. I'm not sure if I ticked. Yes. Okay. Share sound. All right. Sorry about this, guys. Here we go. Listen. Oh, sorry. I've slowed this down. I want to show you at normal speed at first. Hang on. So that you know what you're actually dealing with. So here it is at normal speed.
Take a look at what happened.
That was the first shot. And funnily enough, he says, take a look at what happened. And that's when you hear the first shot. So let me just back up a bit. The first shot is important because that's the one that grazed his ear. So what you will see is he now, before the second shot, raises his hand towards his ear. So he already felt the pain. There you go. There's the second shot. Third shot, and he's down. Now he ducks. He got injured, which typically is a moment of shock. I mean, not like complete shock, but a moment of startlement and shock that delays your processing. Your brain has to figure out what the hell, what is this bad pain? You know, that already delays your processing. But a 78-year-old man reacted faster than the freaking Secret Service. That's what you have to take in. Like when Trump moves down, that's when the Secret Service gets their ass into gear, right? And the Secret Service are people who have been to war zones, military guys, top trained, firing guns and hearing gunfire all the time. And yet a 78-year-old guy who got injured had his shit better together than the whole Secret Service around him. Now take that in, right? If that's not a leader, then what the hell is? All right, let's get back and just listen to this. Yeah, second 7. Here we go.
Take a look at what happened.
And there was the volley of shots, right? There was the volley of shots, and now everybody's piling on top of him. Then they're screaming, the camera zooms out, and I want to jump ahead. There's nothing in between, and I want to jump ahead to somewhere around 23 seconds. So we're now at 21 seconds, and I want to play just 3 seconds here at the end so that you guys can hear the detached, separate shot followed by screaming. Listen. So Trump at this point is down below the podium. Secret Service piled on to him in this weird sort of thing. I mean, frankly, once he's on the ground, this is the quickest thing. I saw an interview with an MI6 agent, a former MI6 agent, going like, yes, but they should have grabbed Trump and even against his will, dragged him towards the car, off the podium. Well, yeah, son, if you look at how the podium looks, the pathway from the podium, there's stairs down here, and the pathway where it's easy to drag a 78-year-old guy without injuring him leads to the fucking shooter, you idiot. So there's no way to drag Trump to safety unless you want to push him off this podium, which I would not advise with a 78-year-old guy. So given the circumstances, I actually am with the US Secret Service. That is the freaking best way you could have done under the circumstances. After you've fucked up everything else, that was the one good thing you actually did. You piled on top of him with your body armor and you fucking prayed. Yes, well done. So now listen to the single shot. Trump is safe-ish already. He survived the volley of shots that might or might not have actually shot in his direction. I mean, there's some shots you can hear that go in the vicinity of the microphone. So there was some fire that actually hit this whole gang. But now listen to the single shot, which sounds nothing like anything else. It comes at 23 seconds. Did you hear that? And then screaming. Now, I would like to slow this down and show you why this shot must have come from a different weapon. This shot that made a woman scream her head off, either because she got injured or because somebody's brains were just blown out next to her, right? It is like a 1 second delay, or like the human response time delay. I'm not sure if she screamed because she felt something, or she screamed because she saw something right in her face. I have no idea, couldn't figure it out, but this needs to be investigated. But the one thing that is sure as hell is that there's a shot that made a woman scream for her life, and it did not come from the gunman on the rooftop. Now, let's slow down this whole thing and get into the actual detailed forensics here. So let's go to 25%. Okay. And now let's go back to the original shots at 7 seconds here. Now this is going to be slow. Okay. So bear with me. It's going to be annoying as hell to listen to. And everything that I'm playing is 4 times slower. So now let's listen to the very first 3 shots. What do we hear, right?
Take a look what happened.
I'm going to pause it after the first. You had sick, dunk, right? I'm going to play it together. Well, there were 2 more shots so you can hear it. Sick, dunk. What's that? Sick is the bullet whizzing past, the supersonic bullet whizzing past the microphone. So the shock waves that the bullet makes going by the microphone reach the microphone before the original gunshot sound reaches the microphone. That's because the gunshot fires the bullet and the gunshot makes a sound, but as the sound travels, the bullet travels faster than the sound. So you hear the bullet go past the microphone before you hear the sound go past the microphone. Supersonic bullet. Okay, it's nothing fancy. Many rifles have supersonic bullets. If a sniper pulls something out of his gun cupboard, it's probably going to be a supersonic weapon, but still, it's important because of what will follow. So let's listen to the next 2 shots. You will hear the same sick dunk, right? Listen. Right? He's already going down when finally a Secret Service agent shouts down, right? But Trump's already decided, right? Trump's already ahead of the game. So really, this is incredible because I would assume that these 3 shots went in Trump direction like the first one. So from just what I can tell, that sound profile as it's picked up by the microphone, as I hear it with my own ears without sound analysis software, the 3 sound very similar. So I would assume that these bullets, right? Number one, these 3 bullets did not graze or hit anybody in the stands before, right? I will show you the setup of this whole scene, but these bullets flew past Trump. All right, I want everybody to just pause and take this in. Based on the laws of physics and the sound profile, means that the bullet is still flying and the gunshot is still catching up with the bullet. If the bullet grazes or hits somebody, either the bullet doesn't travel past the microphone or it at least slows down a little bit that it sounds different. If you now have fancy schmancy, audio analysis, and you can do really like a very detailed time lag analysis, and you can say, hey, maybe some of these shots were, the gunshot was kind of catching up with the bullet, you might say, hey, maybe it grazed somebody's arm and it just took a bit of skin off, but didn't slow down the bullet. But as a physicist, I would think that as soon as you graze a stationary object, you just must slow down. Some energy that gets into, tearing out skin and tissue of somebody, that energy is not kinetic energy anymore. So there's some sort of slowing down, right? But anyway, as far as I can tell with my human ears listening to the audio, those 3 shots were freely flying shots going past the vicinity of the microphone and therefore Trump's head unimpeded by frickin' anything. So Trump survived not one gunshot, he survived 3 gunshots by himself by turning his head and freaking ducking before the whole Secret Service and people who are decades younger than him even got their ass into gear. So fuck me, right? Well done, Trump. Well done, Trump. Actually, I even said to Bill, this is on a personal note, right? I said to Bill, if anybody asks me why I married Bill, he's my second husband. My first husband was a year younger than me. But why my second husband is many, many decades older than me, it's exactly because of this. They don't build them like this anymore, right? Trump is like this. Bill is like this. Reflexes of a cat and faster than anybody I know in Gen Y, Gen X, Gen Z, right? That's why. This is just a different quality of man. It's like you just don't get them anymore. These guys are amazing. So here we go. Now let's listen to the whole sound profile again. And then if you don't believe me about the supersonic stuff, I want to show you a little demonstration, but let me just play you this. And I want to leave out the volley of shots for now. Let's just focus on what the first 3 shots sound like and what that separate shot sound like. So let's listen to it again. Listen.
Look what happened.
Zick, dunk, right? That was the second. Zick, dunk. Zick, dunk, right? And Trump's already, he's not falling, he is ducking. He is ducking. So bloody hell, right? I cannot see anybody aged 18 do this. Okay? It's amazing. He just like, he doesn't even like hold his ear and pauses. He just moves it. He has the second shot. He's already on the way down with the third shot. Freaking beautiful, right? As far as the Secret Service is concerned, they have a really easy, really good client here because the client just did the fucking work for them, right? All right, now let's go a bit ahead towards when they pile on top of him. Where's that? This is the volley of shots, bunch of a mess. I don't want to get into this, bunch of, random stuff we need to disentangle, but let's go to 23 seconds here, just before 21 seconds. And now listen to the sound profile of that single shot. Coming up. Okay. Did you hear it? It went sick. And where's the dunk? Where's the sound of the gunshot? There is no sound of the gunshot. There's only the sound of the bullet / gunshot together. It went sick, and it was just a tiny bit longer than the sick of the previous ones. I've listened to it a million times over the last 2 days. I believe, without audio analysis software, that this shot sounds a bit more drawn out, but crucially, the bullet and the gunshot are not separated that much. So it's like close to sonic, okay? As far as I can tell, it's like subsonic, close to sonic, not quite breaking the sound barrier sort of thing, okay? So I believe this was a subsonic weapon. And I also believe it was fired at fairly close range in the vicinity of the microphone. Because with anything else, you just expect the 2 things to just pull apart. The bigger the distance, the bigger, either sound travels faster than the bullet or the bullet travels faster than the sound. When you make the distance between firing the shot and hearing the shot smaller, everything is closer together. So bottom line is, from just this audio, there were 2 shooters with 2 separate weapons at 2 separate distances. Guess from a woman who never handled a gun. One was a supersonic rifle at a large-ish distance, right? Like 150 yards. The other one was a subsonic, much closer by. Maybe somewhere in the crowd, something like that. And that shot is the one that actually really hurt somebody. right? So you tell me. So with this entire official narrative of, you know, this lone gunman falls apart in the official video recording. Now you will see that the news organizations will cut out this bit. The later things only show the first 3 bullets and then they cut off. Maybe they show the volley of shots, but then they cut off from this. But let's just hear it again one more time. You can convince yourself there is a, you know, you hear something, but you don't hear the gunshot following the bullet, or the gunshot, you know, being ahead of the bullet. So listen. What a scream, right? And the thing is, I don't think the scream is fake, because it's in direct response to this. If you had just a crisis actor and you fire a bullet, I don't think they can like put this so close together. It is a direct reaction to feeling or seeing something, right? To either somebody's brains being blown out right in front of you, or also possible you being hurt by the bullet, and this is your immediate response. So, okay, now what I would like to do for all those who don't really have any, you know, training in this, as I was trying to figure this out and how it actually sounds and what we're expecting, I found one guy. Of course, there's a million people. When I typed in sound profiles of rifles into YouTube, oh my gosh, right? So many hits from the United States of just dudes who have the biggest weapon arsenal on the tailgate of their pickup, going like, okay, I'm going to show you what this sounds like, and then what this sounds like. And here's my Uncle Joe's weapons arsenal. Let's just fire it here in my backyard, right? So, but the best one I found, which is really scientifically explaining what the hell you should expect to hear and what the difference is between supersonic and subsonic, is this guy here. Let me just, and I will try to give credit to absolutely everybody, right? Because I think they are, they really do a lot of amazing work. Hang on, let me just, is the way I can, yeah, okay, I managed to blow it up. So here's this guy, right? What is really amazing about this guy is I love his t-shirt. So hang on. I can't share my screen and see this at the same time. Just a moment. How do I get Zoom back? I can't. Okay. One moment. Technical difficulties, please stand by. So here we go. It's share with sound. Da, 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 da. Here we go. Okay, now for myself, I'm going to try to make this big. It's this guy with sunglasses. I hope you can see him. He actually wears a t-shirt saying nobody needs an AR-15, because that's what Trump said, right? Sorry, not Trump, Jesus, no, Biden, right? And the whole anti-gun, you know, lobby said, no, but nobody needs an AR-15. And his t-shirt reads, nobody needs an AR-15. Well, nobody needs a whiny little bitch. Yet here you are. So, this is this guy. Now he has a rifle and a handgun, and he's going to show you the supersonic rifle versus the subsonic gun. Okay, so let's just play this.
With the AR-15, you will hear the bullet before the gunshot, and with the handgun, you will hear the gunshot before the bullet. Some bullets.
All right. Now I really hope that I managed to share this with sound. Please tell me that I did share it with sound. All right. Let me just do it one more time, hoping the settings will be the same. So yes, it was share with sound. Okay, so hopefully you guys heard it. So this guy explains that, and also in this demonstration, he's actually hitting a target. So you hear the impact, right? You hear it's the impact of the bullet. When you have a bullet just whizzing past the microphone, you just hear the You don't hear the tuk, right? But it was very good because you could hear the differences. So now minus the impact, you have the bullet whizzing through the air and the dull impact sound of the gunshot, and the two are separated. Now supersonic, first you hear the bullet whizzing past, then the gunshot, and with subsonic, so lower than the speed of sound, you hear the gunshot before you hear the bullet. My point is that with the shot that was fired at 23 seconds, at the very end of this whole incident that triggered the scream, I can't really hear a difference. I just hear a bit of a drawn out, a bit longer than the supersonic 3 bullets in the beginning. And it sounds like both the bullet and the gunshot, the way they travel is very close together. The two haven't really separated that much. It could be still subsonic, right? In fact, it could even be supersonic, but it's like at such a short distance, the two are not separated. It just creates this drawn out, sound profile. So whichever way you look at it, you're looking at a shooter who is much closer than the guy who's supposedly on a rooftop with a rifle, right? Now, you have other things like suppressors. We could just assume all of these were using suppressors, right? Or silencers. But the bottom line is the first 3 shots are separated between the sound of the bullet and the sound of the gunshot. The final shot that is separated in time from even the last volley of shots by about 8 seconds doesn't have this. So by the laws of physics, there are 2 shooters with 2 separate guns already. And the official story of this guy on the rooftop, doing all this by himself is absolute bullshit. Okay. And the other thing is, 2 people with 2 separate guns in 2 separate positions hurt people. The first one, the very first shot from the rifle, supersonic rifle, hurt Trump. The very last one hurt a woman or somebody standing next to her in the audience. So 2 shooters in 2 different locations hurt 2 separate people. Tell me the news organization that has reported this, okay? And it's right there. It is in every single extended video recording of the incident. It is right there for all of you to see and for all of you to analyze. Now, the thing about the volley of shots in the middle, it's a bit of a muddle, and without audio analysis software, I can't really tell you that much, but I would like to point out a couple of things. Let's just indulge me, right? And let's see how much we can pull out of that. So this is all kind of important, okay? So hang on. In between, let me just check that is it still being broadcast. Is it still running down here? Sometimes the Zoom hangs itself and I don't even notice, but I seem to be okay. Still seem to be live. All right. Okay, forgive me. I am on my own. I don't have a media director and I have to do this recording and think and talk and, share links and make sure I'm still live all at the same time. So that's why it's a bit scrappy and amateurish. But okay, let's go back to Trump. So this is important smoking gun revelation number 1 for every single person who has YouTube can follow this, right? You don't need anything special. The only thing that I did is I went to the little settings wheel on YouTube and I changed the playback speed to 25% to really be able to tell this apart, right? Now, let me go back and let's just find the volley of the shots and let's do a little bit of analysis on that because there too, I think there are separate weapons involved. So, but that bit sounds very similar. So if anything, it's very similar weapons we're talking about. And I'm also reaching the absolute limits of what my little self can say because I don't know jack shit about weapons. That's the plain truth. Okay. So please, humor me and forgive me for whatever I might get wrong. And if you know more than me, which is very likely if you're in the US, put your education for me in the chat, ideally in the comments, because it lives longer than the chat. So, okay, let's go back to this. I'm going to play the first 3 shots against Trump. I'm going to repeat this until your nose bleeds, right? But really, that's very important. But it's also training for that muddle and then help me tell one thing apart from the next. So, okay, I think playback speed is still 25%. Okay, let's go.
Take a look what happened.
Holy shit. You know, sorry. As I'm watching this footage every single time, I'm sorry, I have to just my brain kind of jams every time, because that little head tilt is what saved Trump, and as far as we know as of today, saved his upcoming presidency, and based on what I've seen in the world, saved all our little asses from 4 years of absolute nightmare, right? That little head tilt, really the slide on immigration saved him. That's what frickin' saved him. And also in the crowd, there's somebody who he wanted to bring onto the podium. And then he said, oh, just a moment, just bear with me. Just give me a minute. I'll bring you on. But let me just first talk about this. So the fact that he looks to the slide and wants to talk about this issue that's really close to his heart is what saved him, right? And remember, the head tilt comes after a sniper pulled the trigger, or shooter. Some professional sniper said he wasn't a sniper. A sniper would have hit the old man, you know, would have flown off the stage. And that's not what I mean, right? But basically, somebody had him in his crosshairs. He was signed up to be dead, and a supersonic weapon, a bullet, started traveling, left the weapon, started traveling, hurtling towards Trump, and he turned his head to go from dead to be alive. Like, this is as close you probably come to being Schrodinger's cat, right? You're either dead or alive, and nobody will actually figure out what you are until they open the box, you know? Holy shit. Sorry, guys. I just can't get over this. So let's get back to science. I'm sorry. But just take this in, that history was made or not made that day. It was made in a good way and not made in a bad way. Just inhale this and just meditate on this.
What happened?
He survives the second. He survives the third. Thank fuck. Okay, here. Gen Z guy was the first one up on the stage. That's what I expect. You know, young guy, fast leaps. Then come the older crowd here. To be fair to them, they were probably standing further away. But, you know, Gen Z just redeemed itself today. Or maybe he's a millennial. But, you know, he was the first. And then it's over at 14 seconds. Now, I would like to go back to the moment when Trump ducks and then this mess of shots that are heard. One of the things I want to point out is that the very tail end of this mess, you just hear gunshots without bullets. It means guns were fired close enough that the maybe without silencers and they were further away, or maybe with silencers and they were close by, whatever, but gunshots are fired and you don't hear the bullets. So that means those bullets traveled away from the microphone. Maybe those were the police snipers who finally, after Trump survived 3 bullets by himself and a bunch of other potential other bullets, you know, with the Secret Service piled on top, right, then finally took out the shooter. Who knows, right? Maybe to cover their ass, maybe to silence him, whatever. But some 2 shots seem to have been fired away from this whole thing. So let's listen to this again. Hang on. So he 1, 2, 3. Now listen. First shot, tick, boom. That sounds like the rifle. That sounds like the 4th shot out of that rifle, very first one, right? And then you have tick, ding, tick, tick, ding, right? Different sounds. I don't hear the tick, ding anymore. It just sounds a different pitch. So here you need audio analysis software. And then tuk, tunk. Did you hear that? No bullets at the very end. So those travel away. Let's hear that again. I've listened to this to so much, but I beyond the point, I can't tell what's going on. So it sounds like it, and please play it again, and with audio analysis software, it sounds like it was sick dunk, and then sick, and a dunk follows the first sick, and then there's a second sick without a dunk. So what's going on? And then there's a gap, and then you can hear dunk, dunk, right? Gunshot, gunshot. Let's hear it one more time. And the whole thing is over at the very end. Did you hear dunk, dunk, dunk? Just 3 gunshots somewhere traveling off into somewhere, right? So that's so much about the gunshots, right? But there's more. So if anybody can educate me on this, what this could be, I would be really grateful, because that's where my knowledge really stops. I am 100% sure that there were 2 gunmen, both of whom had 2 different people with 2 different guns from 2 different locations. So, and then in between, there was a bunch of volley-off shots. What I find interesting is that people say, and I'll play you the actual recordings, that, oh, this was a putt shot, an idiot could have done it. And this guy didn't have to be a trained sniper to shoot at somebody at 150 yards, right? Okay, but if you can hone in on somebody's freaking head, that apart from the angle, like, oh, here, right? Apart from the angle of headshot right into the cerebellum, right? Versus clipping the ears, if you can from 150 yards come down here, how do you not do more damage into that pile up of Secret Service? Is it the angle? Like, why are there all these shots that don't seem to, go anywhere? Or was he hitting people? Or, another thing is also the 3 shots at the end, right? Were they just gunshots from the from the police snipers away? Or were those 3 shots that actually hit people? So you don't hear the bullet because the bullet went elsewhere or got stuck in people. Right? Is that it? But then another question I have is about the time lag between this and this whole mess. So my very first question to Bill was, in this volley of shots, are there 2 separate people shooting? Or if you assume all this is just one gunman, can you actually pull the trigger this fast to create the sound profile? Is it possible? Does it make sense? Was he just like, okay, boom, 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 boom? Can you do that? So I used to play the piano. I know that you can, in a vibrato, you can move your fingers very, very quickly, but can you actually pull a lever? Or, this guy was a 20-year-old guy, right? But also they claim. Professional sniper, you could think about something electronic, you just tap something and that pulls the lever. But either way, the time sequence before, it's like sick, boom, sick, boom, sick, boom, and suddenly it's like sick, 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 it's all over the shop. So it sounds like there are more people shooting roughly in the same time, but their bullets are very close together in time. Which direction are they shooting from? Where the hell are they shooting to? Right? This is something that in a good world, in a normal world, the FBI would uncover. But in a world where the FBI might have just pulled this off, they will never uncover it officially. And there's nothing to uncover because they know what they actually planned. So now let's get on to the second bit of smoking gun evidence that I would like to present to you today, which is that some people in the crowd had pre-knowledge that some shit's gonna go down, and they already reacted very rapidly. So God, there's so much actually I want to talk to you about. Maybe I take 1 second, okay? I want to show you some links here about how the whole thing was. I mean, you can look at the maps and all this sort of stuff yourself. You don't have to have me explain that to you, right? But one question I had was about, I mean, oh God, well, what the fuck was the Secret Service thinking? They were thinking our bosses want to kill this bastard, right? Because I just can't understand, you know, on the show with Professor Fetzer, I said, when you look at the Secret Service people that Trump had here, the guys who are actually, I'm going to cut them a lot of slack because, hey, they are the guys who really put their balls on the line for somebody, right? But here, these guys, okay. Yeah, these guys. So these guys did pile on when there was a volley of shots flying left, right, and center. So, hey, you know, my criticism is not really against these guys, especially not the young guys like her, the first young guy who piled on. They are so young. They don't know their head from their asses. They think they know they're trained, but they don't really have job experience. They don't have experience with shit going down ugly, right? So never mind. But my question to this gentleman, and I only target him because he seems to be the most senior one of the lot, is when he walked out that day, I mean, really, what the fuck did he check ahead of time, right? Maybe that wasn't his job, but when he walked out, he got out of the car and looked around even before Trump got out. Didn't he think for a second, where the fuck is everybody, right? Because I don't understand. You are a freaking bodyguard, right? You are Secret Service, and you walk onto an area, an open freaking field. I mean, you can decide if an open field is worse than a city. Both have their own disadvantages. Open field is open view for freaking anybody to take a shot at you, right? Cities is like, hey, anybody can take a shot at you from windows, right? So, hey, both are bad, but you have all these roofs, all these high points, and nobody mans them. Like nobody, there's literally nobody. In the whole video footage, I could see 2 sniper teams on the 2 barns either side of this Trump podium and main, you know, audience thing. There were 2 red barns and there were 2 sets of 2 people. You have 4 people visibly because the deterrence is already, you know, 90% of your job, right? 90% is deterrence. So when the story is that some little kid climbed onto a shed, a glorified hangar shed thing, and took a pot shot at the president and nearly killed him with the whole Secret Service right there, 150 yards from him, like, fuck off, right? Okay, the whole story is bullshit, right? But for this dude who is looking out for the president's safety as much as his own safety, because he too would like to get his ass home to what might be his wife and children, right? When you walked out there, did you not think, oh my God, it looks like we're walking into a kill tunnel? Because where the fuck is everybody? What the fuck's going on? Why is it wrong? You know, when you are in a field, and this applies to absolutely anybody, when you are a medic, when you are a scientist, a particle physicist looking at the plot, or you are anything, you are, you know, an art specialist and you are trying to tell, is this painting real or fake? Or any specialist and expert in their field who's worth their salt and has been in anything for several decades, right, has this like instantaneous brain analysis of a situation and can go instantaneously like, this looks different, right? Did you not come out that day with Trump going like, this feels different. I can't quite put my head on it, my finger on it, but I feel naked, you know? Because ultimately, I mean, people say the buck stops with the head of the Secret Service. No, it fucking doesn't. That bitch is in an office somewhere drinking a Starbucks. The buck stops with the most senior guy right next to Trump. The ultimate common sense check is with him. Now, of course, he is not senior and they have this like military rank and he can't. But when you walk in and everything feels weird, don't you think, I mean, what would have been great is if he just comes out and he's like, no, no, sorry. Yeah, nah, no. right? We're going back into the car, we're fucking off, and I'm sorry all this is on me, but I feel like this is not right. This is not right. It strongly feels like they're trying to pull some shit off. And frankly, because I will be the first or the third one piling onto Trump, I don't want a bullet in my ass today, right? So I really, I'm sorry, because I'm sure that he has his pension on the line, his mortgage on the line. Everybody's in the same situation, right? His family, his income, his career, everything he ever worked for. When this is everything, what you really is more important than your career and your pension fund is your life, right? Or the life of your client, if this is how you signed up. Like, I'm going to take a bullet for this guy. Like, what the fuck, man? What the fuck? Because I look at the chief of the Secret Service, and she's some dopey little bitch of a Karen. I don't even know how she got there. No, I do know how she got there with DEI. But man, you look like a military guy who needs to have his wits about himself. And you walked into that, what turned out to really be a kill tunnel, and you were like cool with it, Why? Like, develop a spine. People will thank you for it. Like there's one guy, there was a pilot recently. I think Jimmy Dore pointed it out, right? So thanks for Jimmy Dore for giving me that information and everybody else. But it was a pilot who was informed that there was some problem with the engine or with the fuel retention or something, right? I think it was the fuel retention. And that's like, fuel seemed to be leaking. And he was going to set off from mainland US to Hawaii. And he heard all this, and he was clear to take off. In fact, he was pressured to take off. And he was like, no, sorry, we're not going fucking anywhere, because I am not convinced that we're going to make it. And frankly, I don't want to be over the Pacific, over very much like, almost the middle of the Pacific, not quite, right? When we figure out that, oh, it wasn't okay. And maybe there was a clerical error or technical error or human error somewhere. And he literally, against absolutely everybody breathing down his neck, he said, no, because ultimately I'm in charge of making this shit land on land and instead of water. And no, we're not going anywhere. We're staying put. Cancelled, sorry, and he said, I'm very sorry to have to do this. I'm sure you had holiday plans, but there's nothing worse. There's no bigger damper on your holiday plans than not making it there, right? Landing in the Pacific will really fuck up your booking as well, right? So anyway, this is one of those things where, I just want him to take that as a lesson and go like, don't fucking trust anybody, because the people around you are Gen Z and millennials who don't know jack. The people above you are corrupt motherfuckers and a bunch of Karens and football moms, right? And ultimately, you're the guy going out there with Trump, and you have to say no. Just say no. Fuck the rally. From now on, everybody will understand. Fuck it. Go home. Tomorrow is another day. Do a Zoom call instead. We'll understand, but just don't do this shit again. And footnote, read up about directed energy weapons, because that might be the next thing they're going to launch on him. So, hey, but anyway, that's my 2 cents worth of it. So, gosh, the buck stops with whom? The buck stops with all of us, okay? All right, I'm just upset that I nearly saw Trump die, and it would have fucked up my day, for real. But now, let's get on to going after these motherfuckers, okay? So, let me just throw a glance at the chat. I hope people are still with me. I hope I'm still live. Okay, so let me just catch up here in the video footage. Am I still live? Yes, it looks like it. Okay, so indulge me a bit longer, because I have some more smoking gun evidence. This is the shit that I was looking for all throughout the night until 7 a.m. and I didn't find it. I don't think I found it at night. Or maybe I can't remember. I was so freaking tired that, I had listened to so many gunshots, my ears were ringing. So either I found it at the very end before going like, yep, I found it, right, that's it. I told Bill, and he was like, I'm sleeping, shut up, tell me tomorrow. Or I found it in the early morning when I first got up, and I was like, I need to find this shit because I know it's out there. So what this is in this stuff, when you're convinced that they are insiders, you have to look for people who give the game away. Now, what you also need to know is that when the intelligence agencies pull off stuff, when you find one intelligent, it's like cockroaches. When you spot one, there are dozens around you, if not hundreds, right? They are everywhere. So when you're convinced it's an intel op, you look for some minions who give it the game away, some people who fuck up. Not everybody is the same level of training and certainly not the same level of intelligence. And hey, these are corrupt motherfuckers, so their average intelligence and is much lower than the rest. So okay. Now, what I found after a lot of searching is the following, and I have not seen anybody point this out, but this is, when you think about it and truly analyze it, you are one of the analysts, you do this every day, you know how big this is, right? Let's say, I mean, if you're an analyst inside the agencies, you know what the fuck they pulled off, right? But if you're like me and you're on the outside, this is big, okay? And then I'll show you what somebody else found, which is another insider in the crowd. Okay, now the hardest thing is to find the right video on this mess of things I queued up for today. Here we go. Okay, so I am sharing the Wall Street Journal, and the video they posted is called "How Donald Trump's Attempted Assassination Unfolded." And the whole video is 2 minutes and 20 seconds, okay? So here, the video quality, hang on, video quality. Let me make sure I have the HD activated, because now this is a zoomed video from a phone, so it's grainy, okay? And it's, you really have to focus on, you probably have to pull up the video yourself and check that, convince yourself that what I'm telling you is really in there. But now, watch this. Oh God, give me a second. Yeah, I've got this, share with sound. Yes. Okay. Now, this I think is already slowed down. I can just yeah, I'm going to show you a normal speed. Really just to show you why it took me so long to find it, because a normal speed, you don't know what the hell you're looking for. You don't know, you're just looking for some odd shit that doesn't belong. And I first spotted it at normal speed. So just see if you can spot something. Clue to help you. So these are the police snipers here on the rooftop. They already are in position. There's some reports that they have been looking at this guy already for 3 minutes, and they kept asking their superiors for permission to take a shot. And then the rule was, well, you can't kill people. And by the way, who the fuck believes that, okay? Like the US police is famous for killing people, riddling them with bullets for absolutely nothing, right? Unfortunately, there are news reports like that. Are you fucking telling me that police snipers on a big event like that, when they see a guy army crawling up a roof where he shouldn't be with a fucking rifle, couldn't just take the motherfucker out, or maybe send some warning shots in his direction that bounce off the metal roof, or just fucking something, make some noise in his direction, right? Let some gunshots go by his ear as a warning shot, right? See how he reacts, right? Watch him crap his pants, something. You don't need to kill the guy to stop the guy. That's what I'm saying. So, but anyway, the official narrative is that they were already in position. One of them went public, supposedly. We can't really check who's legit and who isn't. So, you have to have salt and pepper and mustard and Tabasco when you take these things in. But the bottom line is that these guys were already in position. You can see this here. They're already looking into the direction of the shooter, right? And then what happens is they still don't shoot him, though, because when the first shot gets fired, so that the guy who was standing more upright, or just here on his knees, he actually looks up above his weapon in the direction, and then when he looks down, that's when the first shot gets fired. And he actually, what it looks like, he recoils in shock, or maybe he's looking for cover. I don't know what the hell's going on, but it looks like some bad move. But I'm not a sniper, so forgive me if I've just insulted you and your profession. I don't know what the fuck's going on, but it doesn't look like you were cool and calm and went like, oh yeah, shit, yeah, this bullet was fired. Now, according to the manual, I can take a pot shot at you. Instead, the weapon goes like that, where I think, holy fuck, if you really zoom in on something, just a tiny deviation, you're looking into the trees, like fucking hell, getting back into position is hard. And both of these snipers move. Like this guy goes back down, that guy, his weapon goes up and down, where I think, what on earth? At least this is not how they show it in the movies. Maybe this is how it works in real life. I have no idea, but it looks odd. So something is going on, but that's not even what I want to talk to you about. The real humdinger is here in this crowd, all right? The real humdinger is that somebody in this crowd moves in a way that is like nobody else. Let's see if you can spot it. And good luck if you can. I'm proud of you.
While Trump speaks, the Secret Service snipers are still facing the gunman's direction. We then see an agent on the north roof pick his head up just before shots ring out at 6:15.
There it was.
Secret Service agent.
Did you see it? Did you see it? Did you see the smoking gun evidence in the crowd? I'm going to play it again. Don't feel bad if you didn't, but I'm going to play it again, and then let's see if you can spot it this time. Okay, so hang on. I have to find a position before the shots get fired. Okay. So let me slow it down to make it obvious. Okay. All right. 25. Yep. All right. Let's go.
Before
Watch this area and watch this woman here.
At 6:15.
I hope you can see my cursor. Blonde woman. There it was. Did you see that? First shot got fired. The first shot was heard and she is already ducking. She already ducked. The first shot has just been fired. Trump's ear just got grazed. Nobody here reacted and she already ducked. Honey, this is not enough time to figure out what the fuck happened. Everybody, all of the eyewitnesses who genuinely didn't know what was going on, they said, at first we thought it was firecrackers. They had to have, they heard several shots before even thinking about, like, was it something odd? Was it just ambient noise? What the fuck, right? And among the people, because this is the United States, half the people were in the military or in a war zone, okay? So half the all just shoot guns all day long on their farm. This is hunting country, Pennsylvania, guns everywhere. And yet, these gun-toting Americans didn't recognize a gunshot. Nobody did, apart from this one blonde woman in the crowd. And she was like, shit, better duck. So then it gets better than that, because she also puts her arm onto the woman in front of her, this brunette woman, and pulls her down. Watch. There's the brunette woman disappearing and the arm, and still nobody reacted. Now they start going. Did you see it? I'm going to play it again, because the more often you repeat it, the better you can see how odd it is. So again, we're looking at this blonde woman here, and no, she was not shot for sure, because the very first shot was taken at Trump, and that's the one that grazed his ear. We all heard it. She was not shot. She ducked. And by the second shot, she's making her friend in front of her duck too. So she for sure knew it's something to duck about, right? Or duck against. So she knows it's a fucking shot. She's been waiting for it. There's no way that anybody could duck that fast. This blonde woman right here, short blonde hair, sunglasses. I'm going to leave the cursor on her, actually the movie, the film moves. So I'm going to try to point her out. But now listen. Yeah. Did you hear that? What just went by is the bullet and the gunshot. And she's already down there. Tell me how that's possible. She doesn't come up. It's not like, oh, I just dropped my iPhone. Hang on, let me just get that. No, she freaking ducks, pulls down her friend, and won't be seen again. She's down there. She's gone, right? Everybody else exposed. She's down there. First shot fired. Second shot. Her friend goes down. Third shot. People suddenly start going down. Okay, there we are, right? There we are. How the fuck is that possible? How the fuck is that possible, right? So the way this is possible is that she's an insider. She was read into the whole thing. She knew that shots were going to be fired. in the direction of the podium. Where else, right? And because so there's a big tribune behind, or big seating area behind Trump, and then detached two side wings, and she's sitting in the side wings. And she knows that she is sitting very close to the line of fire. Even that, right? Because if you're sitting somewhere in the landscape, you're like, what the fuck, you know? It's like a coliseum, and you see a bunch of gladiators just fight it out, right? You would be just like, hey, I don't care, because I'm so many, like, you think they're shooting at Trump, and you would instinctively think, hey, that guy's over there, I'm over here. And even though she's quite far away from Trump, she knows that it's in her direction. I mean, she heard it, but so did everybody else, and nobody else fucking reacted. Right? So right now, if the FBI were worth their salt, which they're absolutely not, because they're part of a transnational criminal organization, if you genuinely didn't know what the fuck just happened, you start with her. And because, if it was a proper thing set up, everybody's face would have been photographed a million times. The crowd, everybody's position would have not just been photographed, but filmed continuously, right? By various covert means, so that you could actually reconstruct at, within seconds if any shit happens. So if this was normally set up, the FBI would already know who the fuck is that, or would find out who the fuck is that, close up, perfect shots, and would find this lady, by lunchtime, and go, who the fuck else was involved? Because you clearly were, honey. But it gets better than that. So this is the one I was looking for, right? And finally I found it, hooray. But that is smoking gun evidence. You cannot possibly fake that. You can't just have one shot and you're ducking. Like, I have to see if it was just a shot, and by the time the gunshot catches up with the shot, the bullet, she's already down. I have to, remind myself. But sure as hell, she's down when the first shot rings, or after it just rings, and she is already reaching out to pull down her friend, or I would rather call her colleague, by the time the second shot has rung out. So, wow, right? Fucking wow. The two of them are part of the system, and they knew that this is going to happen, but it gets much better than that. So what the CEO of Twitter has posted is a video where he recorded his own, I think it's his own TV. I'm not quite sure whose TV it is. But this was a Twitter post from Matt Wallace. And I hope, hang on, let me see if I can, sorry, there's all the shenanigans with the sharing. All right, let's see if I can share the screen to show you full up. Now, this is what this guy, this Twitter CEO posted, and it's a video that shows, so he's zooming on his TV, okay? So when I play this, you will see that this is actually, hang on, I think it's already, all right. So what you will see in this is that this is the television inside a room. There's the curtains, okay, the window, and a television is in a room showing Fox News, showing the Trump rally, and showing the moments just before Trump gets shot. And he is pointing out this woman here standing right behind Trump, okay? Because what she does, she also seems to have foreknowledge, but she also seems to look into the cameras and nod, and that's when the shot gets fired. And then she briefly disappears, but just to re-emerge with her camera phone and filming before anybody could even figure out what the hell's going on. She's already cool as a cucumber, filming the whole thing close up. Now, tell me if this is normal. Now watch.
No, watch this shit, dude. Watch. Watch. She sits down. Yep. Watch this. Puts the sign up.
He nods. And there's the shot. She smiles.
She's completely normal. And then watch.
And then she's got her.
What the fuck? What the fuck? People are freaking out.
And she's filming.
And she's just like right there.
More than that, something I didn't actually even realize when I was first playing it. It's not that just that she's like instantly filming, not freaking out, doesn't take time to figure out what's happening. I've just seen, and I didn't even spot that before, that she has a smirk. She has this like, hey, yeah, look on herself. The corner of her eyes just, the corner of her mouth just goes up. just before. And by the way, the guy next to her wears these black and white checkered pants. Now that could be some sort of, I don't know, some standard flag thing they have there. I don't know, but it just so happens that something that looks like black and white, you know, Masonic tiling just so happens to be right there. And this shit was broadcast. It's right next to Trump. It's also on the right-hand side of Trump. And I said many times before on this channel that when you're looking for cartel signaling, start with the right. And that's because cartel signaling is usually planted on the right because most people are right-handed and would look there first. So this shit is going down to the right of Trump. There's this woman who's clearly an insider. She has this like smirk. She's actually pleased about hearing the first shot. Then she's filming, and behind her is this black and white checkered thing that strikingly looks like Masonic tiling. So, hey, wow, what coincidence. But let's just play this again from the beginning. Hang on. And my problem is that the share, the zoom buttons are overlap with the timeline here. So let me just do the share again. Sorry. I'm very tired and very low key today, so excuse me. Okay, here we go. This is the room with the TV screen showing Fox News, showing the rally. This was one of the, you know, standard images. And there's this woman behind her, white top, black cap, black sunglasses.
No, watch this shit, dude. Watch. She sits down. Yep. Watch this.
She holds up the sign. She looks straight in the camera.
Puts the sign up.
And she nods, right? She just nodded like, yep, yep. And then she looks in the direction of the shooter. Now, I don't think that she gave the command to be shot. I think over their audios, there was a command like prepare, ready for shots. And she's like, yep, right? She heard it. She is not, this bitch here is not the command center. There's a command center, intel agency command center, where all this bullshit's coming together. All the minions have earpieces. And she just got something like, yep, we're live. This is going down. And she's like, yep. But she is being used for cartel signaling. There she is. Yep. She looks to the towards the shooter, or the direction of the shooter. And then the first shot rings out. And then look what she does. Look, watch her face. Watch this side of her cheeks.
Look what happened.
Did you see that? Here you can just see that she pulled back her cheeks. So if I smile, so here, if I'm just my resting bitch face, right, smooth, and if I smile, you can see this, and you could just see this flash up. See, she smiled. So there was the first gunshot rang, and she smiles, and this psychopathic little cunt has her camera on the ready.
She's completely normal, and then watch.
And then
there she is.
What the fuck? What the fuck? People are freaking out.
and she's filming.
And she's just like right there.
And there's the guy with the pants. There's the guy with the pants.
She's not even freaking the fuck out. What the fuck?
The pants could be just pure coincidence, but man, that looked like Masonic tiling. So, yeah, this was a Twitter post. So let me just minimize this and show you. This was Matt Wallace 888 at Matt Wallace 888, and his profile says that he is CEO of Twitter at Elon Musk Council, right? He has 1.8 million followers, seems to be legit, right? So pay close attention to the woman in the black hat. And then again, black hat, right? She's a black hat actor. There you go, right? There you go, another one. And this woman here, you can actually see her facial expressions. The other one just looks like a random woman, you know. But here you can actually see the psychopathy and the sadism. And the women who are like that are psychopaths, you know, like male psychopaths. They do exist. And yeah, just have a good look at her, you know, dumb little face, and just know that these are the kind of people who are gunning and torturing Bill and me, who are gang stalking and hounding us, who are trying to kill us on the road, who poisoned the puppy in our backyard. And these are the people we're dealing with. So the intelligence agencies have recruited the degenerates, okay? For an intelligence agency, it's always high value to find psychopaths because they're very easy. You know, other psychopaths understand exactly how they work. They're actually very easy to deal with because they don't have emotion. They don't have emotional investment. They don't have remorse. They don't feel guilty. They just do whatever the fuck they're asked and paid to do. That's it. And they have a hell of a time. They're like, hey, that's so funny. It's like, hey, somebody, you know, she expected this guy to be murdered that day, I'm pretty sure, and she was looking forward to filming it. So if this woman isn't in jail, and if that other bitch isn't in jail, along with all the intel agents who pulled this off, you know, then we have not yet shut down the deep state. So there has to be a deep analysis. I showed you everything that is currently not being discussed anywhere else in the media. There's like a ton of stuff I could go through, right? I had plans to talk to you about this one news report of the area where the guy scaled the roof. There was a woman riding a horse up and down the fence, unsecured fence line with a flag, right? I mean, what is this? Right? What is this? 1785. I mean, what the fuck, right? Riding a horse on a flag, bullshit. So what is that nonsense? Why would somebody ride a horse, right? I do not think that that was just a random person who was super enthusiastic, because if you go to a rally to genuinely attend it, you would want to hear what's being said. You don't really want to have Blackie with you or your horse there, and then take care of Blackie, and horses can get very nervous with crowds and all sorts of stuff could be going on. And you just don't want that. You would just want to go and listen to Trump. But if you are an intel agent who has to create a distraction, then riding a horse up and down while waving a big flag in the area where the guy's just scaling the roof is perfect to make everybody look at the horse and the crazy lady, you know, with the flag, instead of the guy just scaling the roof behind you, right? There we go. But that's really just small fries compared to this, right? Everything else is small fries. We just have to look at the actual data, the purest data there is. And this is the purest data as far as I can make out. So the first sound analysis came from just the standard video recordings that are not cut off, you know, and the other stuff is just from the Wall Street Journal, right? And they show an attendant and an attendee's cell phone recording that, you know, zoomed in on the snipers from that angle, which is why it's so grainy. But there's smoking gun evidence of somebody else having foreknowledge. 2 women. Now, the other thing is also that little bitch, right, who's smirking about Trump getting shot. I just have one comment to her, is that if you understand the secret society and the secret service hierarchies behind this, the secret society, by the way, is an all-male society like the Masons. They don't give a crap about little bitches like her, right? But also secret services are traditionally male, also traditionally gay for systems analysis reasons or systems reasons, but they don't give a shit about women. The reason why little bitch was asked to do that little cartel signaling spectacle right behind Trump, she thinks she's the greatest, she's smirking, but it's because she is dispensable. Nobody gives a fuck. If she gets uncovered like she just was, the senior guys don't give a fuck about her little ass. So she doesn't have that much to smirk about, really. You know, she thinks she's great. And I've seen so many of these bitches who were harassing and gang stalking me. There was a pair of them inside the High Court in London, outside Court 37 or Court 39, wherever you get those injunctions, right? And I'm there on my own, and these 2 women are there. One of them looks attractive, the other one a bit more plain. And the attractive one clearly thought she's a Bond girl or something. She was quoting a private conversation I had with my husband just before I'm going to court to try to get an injunction against MI6. She thought she was the greatest thing. And I'm like, no, honey, you're just going to be a sex slave. You're going to be sex trafficked if you know it or not. You're just a nobody. If you're a woman, they don't give a shit about you. That's the first thing you have to learn. All right. So, hey, that's maybe a small, a small upside on this, that she too doesn't matter, so she doesn't have anything to smirk about. But I find it extremely upsetting to see these people, to see the callousness, the psychopathy, the sadism, you know, ruthless criminality. And I really think they need to be shut down. And I also know that if we just trust the Pennsylvania police and the intelligence agencies like the FBI to do this, well, they're the ones who just arranged all this. So they will not go after her. It has to be citizen journalists, private citizens. They have to make the case. They have to bring it to a court. They have to force the FBI to actually look at genuine evidence instead of made up shit. Okay. So, yeah. Now, one final footnote. I probably should leave it to another video, but there's a lot to be said about all the women around Trump, right? I probably shouldn't go into it because everybody's banging on about them, right? The fumbling fumbelinas, as Sky News Australia called it. And yes, hiring women for bodyguard jobs is idiotic. If you want to know how idiotic it is, go around nightclubs and tell me how many nightclubs have female bouncers. All right. I think none of them. I've never seen a female bouncer in my life. If there are any, they don't work at the nightclubs where shit's going down. Okay. Now, if you wouldn't have a female bouncer, you don't want a female bodyguard. Look, I'm a woman. I very much appreciate my deductive analysis skills, as I was trying to demonstrate to you today. I hope you appreciate it, but I will not be working for a moving company or a construction company, and I sure as hell would never apply to be a bodyguard because my body frame is not big enough, although now that I'm here in the US, I am putting on a bit, but it's never going to be as big as a guy to block out an area. I will never have the physical strength. What if they had shot Trump and he was still alive and you have to actually drag him to the car? You have to lift him, carry him to the car. You know, even if the shooter is down and everything is safe and over, I couldn't do it, right? You need these big guys. So what on earth is going on? And when I saw the interview with that head of the Secret Service, I was like, holy fuck. I mean, in my view, is she needs to be fired at, but, you know, for what she's just done. But certainly fired at, man, wow, you know, DEI hires. And then people have pointed out that in this interview I did with Professor Fetzer about the other woman in that, you know, as they bundle Trump into the car, has a ponytail that she just keeps flopping around. And that's actually against the rules because, hey, that ponytail is obscuring somebody else's view, right? And you have your hair and you're flicking it around. One of the, you know, younger Secret Service agents that really was you know, in that huddle around Trump, she looked like she was genuinely trying to do her best. She was a heck of a lot better than the other two women, but even she is struggling with her sunglasses. Like, hey, you just have this like body block around Trump. You're trying to get the hell to the car. You think the shooter's down. Well, some corrupt motherfuckers told you the shooter's down, but as I've just shown you, there's like two shooters and one is a lot closer than that guy, right? So you're trying to get to the car and you're struggling with your sunglasses and you're like, oh, sunglasses off, sunglasses back on. Oh shit, let's do this, let's do that. Like, how about we forget about the accessories? Now, I do understand that for Secret Service agents, they need to have sunglasses so that the glare, the sun glare is not another obstruction, right? But how come the guys manage to somehow stick them on their head so that it stays up, even if they lunge and fly onto Trump? And you, little girl, are just, you know, struggling with your designer glasses. So I don't know, can you tie them with a rubber band around your head? Do something, but do that before you're there to protect the president, right? Now, another thing is that this girl, which, as I said, is not the worst of them, right? The worst of them was that other little Karen who just couldn't holster her gun. You can see the footage yourself, right? Left-handed woman, you know, has her wristwatch on the right, can't holster a gun on her left, right? That woman is just, she's out of place. She doesn't know what the hell she's doing, right? I don't know how she even gets to that, into that zone, because she's more of a hindrance than anything. As the big tall guys are trying to bundle Trump into the car, she's being jostled and pushed and it can barely stand up on her legs as these big guys behind her are moving. Like, she's an obstacle. I mean, maybe she's a bit of extra body block, but heck, right? You could get a tall guy. Now, somebody else said, yes, but we need DEI hires. My question is, if you are that dumbass head of the Secret Service and you want DEI hires, why don't you hire black guys? I haven't seen a black guy or black woman anywhere. I haven't seen any Asians anywhere. hire somebody who's built, here's another, James Bond reference, like that guy, Asian guy from a James Bond movie that had the head with the razor blades that he liked to throw. That was a big guy, right? There are big Asian guys. You could hire big Asian guys or even taller and bigger black guys, right? But yet no black guys, but a bunch of bitches. Wow. Oh my God. Yes. So I just hope that that senior guy who I see next to Trump all the time, who has his, own balls on the line many times, has the courage and the spine to stand up after this and go, things will change. We get rid of the bitches. I love them. We all respect them. Actually, talking about this, the little girl who was trying her best, who really helped to get Trump into the car. You can see a male Secret Service agent has his arm around her and is protecting her, from the whole moving of these big men who are moving like wildebeest. He's like really gentle and accommodating, and like, fucking hell, there are some real gentlemen in the Secret Service. I can see that. And they are gentlemanly even when they nearly got shot. Wow, right? That guy is worth $1 million. But still, I would rather he doesn't try to be gentlemanly and just focuses on the thing. And there's just a bunch of guys who know how to move and don't fall over if they get pushed by another guy trying to, get the president into the car. What the fuck, right? Oh my God. Oh my God. But anyway, I'm just shocked that people have let it come this far, and they nearly paid with their life, not just Trump, but the entire team that was piling on top of Trump. I just can't believe that they were insiders. I just can't. Maybe people want to say that the tall guy with the glasses, who I was saying was a senior guy, is in on it. But really, would you be in on it when you are his level? You are the freaking Secret Service mainstay support for Trump. Would you be in bullshit like that? And would you trust your own fuck-knuckle colleagues to not hit you? Or wouldn't you assume they would hit me too because I would be in on it? I mean, that's why I'm saying I kind of still trust him. I have no evidence to think that he was in on it. And because I trust him, I'm like, you need to speak the fuck up next time, because you too might be dead. These people are crazy, sadistic, psychopathic, moronic, Nazi killer cunts, right? Don't trust them. Anyway, that's what I had to say. I'm sorry it took me so bloody long, but there's so much pent up in here after 2 days of research. I hope you enjoyed it. I hope you had some insights and some thoughts that inspire you. Maybe you were just ironing or, putting away your socks and it just made it more entertaining to listen to me. Whatever the case may be, I thank you for listening. And I really hope we all start tidying this corruption up. So, and finally, what I also said at the end of the Fetzer interview, and this was an eye-opener, that 350 Americans plus really, 300, 400 something million Europeans, we can't all rely on one 78-year-old guy to save us. He did his best. He freaking dodged a supersonic bullet, stood up with injuries. He could have gone into shock. He could have been just like out of it, but no, he stood up. He paused the Secret Service just to let us know he's fine and that the fight's continuing, and really just to reassure us, because when I saw it, I was like, fuck. I'm in the oh fuck mode, and I'm one of the most level-headed people I know. And then when I saw him stand up, I'm like, no, we'll get back to work. And we, as he says, we fight. So if you have any sort of specialist skill, you apply it now to tidy up the deep state. If you have no specialist skill, you'll use your time to help with the research, to help spread the news, to help uncover this. And you might have more brains and skill than you know that you have. But please contribute to the fight. As I said in my tweet, Bill and I, we are reporting for duty. And what I mean by that is that we are now officially really trying to do our best to help tidy up this corruption as far as, as much as we can, any way we can. And we will be working a lot to bring our court cases, to really educate people about what can be done to tidy up the corruption. We have a lot of qualifications between Bill and me, and a lot of research and knowledge and everything. We will apply it. We will help as much as we can, and so should you. So with this, I wish you a very good night. Thank you for listening. I love you all, and you are all much more powerful than you know. So fight, 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 like Trump said.